Welcome to the fourth episode of Steve's Boat Project, building a Norwegian Pram. The design is by Simon Watts. In the last episode, we completed the planking and the boat was starting to take shape, but there's still a lot of work left to be done. To finish the boat, we need to install inwales, quarter knees, frames, rear seat, and thwarts. The inwales were Douglas fir, notched out for the brass chain plates and riveted in place on the inside of the planks. So the frames hold the shape of the boat, and the lower frames were made of white oak, and the higher up frames were made of Douglas fir, which is lighter. Generally the lighter wood should be higher up on the boat and the heavier wood should be down a bit lower to keep the center of gravity low in the boat. These were riveted through the planking and bedded in place. There were 3 main frames and 2 aft frames supporting the seat, the rear seat. Next come the quarter knees. There are 4 of those, and they're attached to the upper corners of the boat between the transom and the inwale. They serve to strengthen the connection of the transom to the rest of the boat, the planks. So I'm making the sailing version of this boat and need a rudder, dagger board, the spars, and a mast step. So this is the rudder, a pattern for putting the shape on the planks, which were laminated up out of sapele. So here you can see the outline of the rudder. Then have to cut that out with the bandsaw. So it instantly happens. Ta-da! And then we have to round the edges and put the bevels on the trailing edge. Following that, here's the mast step, which fastens to the frames. And the rear seat, which is held together by battens, and it fastens onto the rear transom and the frames, the rear frames there. So then the thwarts are supported by additional frames. That's the rear thwart, which is Pacific U, and forming up the knees that sit on top of that. So the rear thwart is fastened in place, and the forward thwart is removable. At this point, the boat's ready to come off the strongback, and work starting on the daggerboard case and the skig. So the thwart was notched for the daggerboard case, and it was fastened in place with the cap. The rear skig was bolted through, and then these are the bilge keels, which were also bolted through with machine screws through the planks. And there they are in place. That's the machine screws. So they're curved to the shape of the boat. The last piece to be machined is the outwales, which were coved to support the rope fender. Finally, after 1 year, the boat was done and ready to bring back home. There were still a few details left to do at home, of course. Painting, putting oarlocks on. Here's the oarlocks. They were nailed in place on top of the gunnels. The rudder, the pintle and gudgeons were put in place, and the dagger board was fitted up. So then it was painted. Okay, this is my steam box setup. It's a PVC pipe with a kettle and a induction hot plate, and it seems to be making enough steam to heat the gunnels. And we're going to bend them onto the boat shortly here. So in the pipe there's a series of dowels that hold the piece to be steamed off in the middle of the pipe. So here's a view of it. So I think we can just put it right on. So this is showing the steaming and clamping on of the outwale, which had the coves. We saw that earlier. So it was clamped in place Probably not necessary to steam it, but didn't want to break them. Yeah, that one goes up near the front. Okay. That was the last piece.
Right.
Once the outwheel was clamped in place, it was fastened with bronze screws. They went right through to the inwheel to hold it in place. And 8-inch on centers. Following that, the rope fender was glued in place within the cove in the outwheel. And that was glued using thickened epoxy, which is a two-part mixture. Comes in a convenient dispenser. That's it, the final step on the hull, the attachment of the rope bumper. Anyway, all the clamps are on there, so that's done. So I just finished painting the inside with a mixture of pine tar, linseed oil, and mineral spirits. Still have to wipe it off, but that's it.